if you conduct any kind of weapons training or practice throughout the week, or even monthly or whatever, I would encourage you to actually have a log of all your training and what I call training reports. I do these every day that I do training. I will actually fill out a training log, and I actually have a couple of different variations that I want to show you here. But first off, let's go ahead and talk about a couple of things. Number one, I highly encourage you to pre-plan to train. So like on the weekends, just fill out a little thing on a calendar and be like, okay, so I'm going to do some physical training here, and I'll wake up in the morning and I'll do like PT if that's something you do, or if you go to the gym or whatever. And pardon me, dog hair. But anyways, then you can plot, okay, before I go to work, I'm going to spend 20 minutes practicing my draw stroke, or I'm going to practice doing concealed carry reloads, or just moving while shooting, retention principles and stuff like that. Whatever. So pre-plan that ahead of time. It makes it a lot easier to follow through with that than trying to have this aha moment, like, what was I thinking I needed to work on? Pre-plan that stuff ahead of time and have some variety, because it's not really good for the brain necessarily to just micro on certain skills or whatever, or fine motor skills, because that's pretty much all shooting is a bunch of fine motor skills put together. That's why it's so difficult to do under high stress. But vary that so your brain gets a little bit of a rest, right? And depending on what you're trying to do, you may not need to vary your training as much, because if you're able to cognitively be there, like during a competition, yes, it's stressful, but it's not the same level of stress as being in a critical incident where you're actually worried about your life and the self-preservation hormones actually kick in. Because there's a bit of a different adrenaline cocktail or hormonal cocktail that gets flooded into your system when you're in a critical incident and you recognize life-threatening stimuli. So, with that said, your training is going to look a little bit different, but that's a totally different video. So let's go ahead and talk about the training logs. This will be very good for you legally if you need to show competence, because instead of just being told, hey, well, you're in a constitutional carry state, so or you have a concealed carry permit, it doesn't really require you to have any training. They'll ask you about what's your qualifications to actually make some of these these decisions during life-threatening situations. You can say, okay, I've practiced these skills. I have practiced, and trained on de-escalation. I would sit there and read like 20 minutes a day on de-escalation, and I would do visualization training and practicing in my head, and how to do certain things. I would look at, I would do practice in my draw stroke and stuff like that while moving, and also delivering precision so that I'm not a liability to others around me, so it wasn't a reckless usage of my firearm in self-defense. I'm not a lawyer, so, you'll have to consult, your local attorney to see if they believe that it would actually help you or hurt you, or, well, probably not going to hurt you, but if there's something else that you need to put in this. This is just kind of a hard and fast thing that I do, and more of the reason why I do this is to, keep track of my training for later charting to see what I'm actually spending more time on, right? And what kind of variations I need to add so I can actually have a well-rounded training schedule, and it's a constant work. But anyways, let's talk about some of the different formats I have. Now, disregard this one. This one is my privilege. That even me being in a relationship, I still am able to balance out time for that and my training, and I can do this all day. That's kind of like what I do now, is training, teaching, and all that other fun stuff. So from 05 to 1700, I can do whatever I need to do and train constantly. That's how I was able to develop the macro cycles and stuff like that, or macro circuits and stuff like that. But anyways, I'm able to go into a little bit of detail of the exact things that I did. So another one is this one, this is a little bit more generalized. It talks about general physical training that you do, a little bit of reading, subjects covered, like if you did any defensive tactics like empty hand or blunt objects, chemical training, or any taser training like ECWs, like with stun guns, deploying them, and then your firearm skills, soft skills, and stuff like that, and physical reinforcements. Physical reinforcements can be developing your physical fitness. You may have done like a jog in the morning, or practiced, done like push-ups and pull-ups or whatever, but physical reinforcement would be like aiming isometrics to actually make your shoulders stronger, to actually be able to aim a pistol longer, or even a rifle or whatever, or developing certain muscle groups and doing a specific workout to develop muscle groups that are directly related with that skill that you're trying to do, and helping you with that fine motor movement and being able to do it for longer, developing endurance, strength, and that sort of thing. And this is an example of a very specific training log that I had pre-filled out because I was doing this pattern daily. I was just kind of experimenting, but I don't really do this anymore. This was just me first trying to develop something that I could do consistently. So here it is. I would wake up and I would actually put on the schedule what I needed to do. And again, this was a very new one, so I needed to write down everything I needed to do so I would have a pattern in. And I was trying to replicate my military schedule. So I regularly wake up early in the morning, so by 5:30 I'm able to start. I would wake up at like 4:35, and I would keep going no matter what time I went to sleep, whether it was 4 o'clock in the morning or what. So anyways, I would do like different categories of training, weapon / IMT / IA drills or whatever, depending on what I was working on at the time. If I was on a light infantry training cycle, or if I was on a concealed carry training cycle, or whatever cycle of training that I was on, of going over the skills that I've learned and developed and acquired over the years. So as you can see here, it's actually relatively detailed, and it allows a lot of different things. Like I was actually doing range applications on a daily basis, and priming myself with follow-on training and stuff to prepare for the next day or the next week, or to just be able to touch on different follow-on training to get ahead of things, like whether it's reading or just doing the basic movements to get an idea of what I needed, whether it be gear related or things that I needed to reinforce in what I was already training in. And so anyways, then yeah, I would have a notes section, which is probably one of the biggest things. No matter what your format is, I highly recommend that you have a notes section to where you can talk about different things that you either struggled with, need to improve on, or whatever, and you can look back on these things and show, okay, I had a weakness here, and that's going to show a lot of cognizance and presence and awareness of things that you need to work on. Could it be held against you? Yeah, kind of. I mean, they can hold anything against you. I mean, you're in court and you're at the mercy of somebody that wants to tear you down while the other person wants to protect you. I mean, it is what it is. But is this just for legal purposes? No. I developed this just to be able to keep track of my training and kind of see where I was at and where I could improve, and look at this. And then I could look at a list of the different skills that I needed to develop and see if I could actually plot them a little bit smarter. So anyways, with that said, I just wanted to share that with you, because this has kind of been a journey I've been doing for the last few years, and it's actually really helped me in my personal development and, being able to be more organized. But anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and you guys have a good one.